Chercher une manche, aller piquer une manche bien au leader GP Mix. Et Alexandre Lupino bien en jambes également hier. Scène 136.
Hello and welcome to ERNA for the Grand Prix of France, round 8 of the FIM Motocross MX2 World Championship. Weather a measly 16 degrees, it's cloudy, overcast, it's windy. But it's going to be a good day all the same. We're about 45 minutes west of Le Mans, pretty much northern central France. And Moto Club ERNA been running races here since 1972. The first ever Grand Prix winner was 1990 in the 125, the late Donny Schmidt of the USA winning on his BFE Suzuki. We've had the last of the double headers where Stefan Everts was victorious here in all three motos in 2003, the Motocross of Nations in 2005. But this weekend though, MX1 and MX2 are back in town for the first time since 2009. It's round 8 of the FIM Motocross World Championship. This is the French Grand Prix.
Avec le premier départ de cette manche MX2, premier départ de ce Grand Prix de France.
Riders in at the end of their sighting lap. That's a great view from the top of the skybox looking down the start straight as the riders embark on their 1600-meter long lap. There you see the split points, red, blue and green. Decent crowd here this weekend as well.
Devant le monde entier, des millions de téléspectateurs. Allons, on veut du bruit. 5, 4, 3.
Getting ready down to pre-grid. Here's Amy.
Yeah, I'm down on the start line for the MX2 race. Whilst Maxime Despray didn't take the qualifying race win yesterday, you arguably had the qualifying race of your life. It was such a great performance from you.
Yeah, I took the whole shot and I was first. It was crazy to do this year. It was a crazy race.
And most of all, at your home GP.
Yeah, it's my home GP, so I'm very happy to be here, and I want to take a good start again, and I try to do the same.
How are you finding the MX2 class this year?
Yeah, it's very hard because there are many riders fast, so yeah, you have to take a good start and do my race.
Best of luck today. We're going to have a quick word with Jordi Tixio as well, because as we know, it's his home race as well. How are you feeling ahead of it?
Yeah, I feel not so bad. You know, yesterday was pretty difficult for me. I made the second lap time in the second practice, so it was pretty good. And in the qualification race, I started third and I crashed in the first corner. So it was not easy to come back in the mud, but I finished 10. So that's a good place to make the whole shot. So we will see what happens. I will give my best, and I like the track. Hopefully the public gonna be there for me, and we will see.
Thanks, Jordi. Right, before we see the race, we're going to take a look behind the scenes of the Rockstar Bud Racing team.
That's the riders going out for their sighting lap, but before we see them out on track, French affair behind the scenes at Rockstar Bud Racing Kawasaki.
Nous avons décidé cette année avec Sébastien
this year we decided with team owners
Dassé
Sebastian Dass and
Stefan
Stefan
Dassé
Dassé to continue with the same
de
riders.
continuer avec les mêmes pilotes, c'est-à-dire Dylan Ferrandis
Dylan
et
Ferrandis
Valentin Tellier.
and Valentin
Ça fait
Tellier.
5 ans qu'on travaille avec
So
Dylan,
5th year with
qu'on a pris
Dylan.
à 15 ans.
He's been with
Et
us since he was
Valentin pour
15
la
years
deuxième année.
old, and this is Valentin's second year
Malheureusement,
with us.
Valentin a contracté une
Fortunately,
fracture
Valentin suffered an injury
lors
riding in
des
the French
championnats de
Championship,
France.
and that
Et
meant
donc, on a
we
dû
had to
trouver
find
un
another
autre
rider to
pilote pour le
replace him.
remplacer,
That is Jason
qui
Clement.
s'appelle Jason Clermont. Alors la vocation,
The
dans
vocation
le
of the
team
Bud
Bud
Racing team
Racing
is to help the development
est d'aider
of
les
the
jeunes,
young French riders
notamment
from
les
an early
jeunes
age
français,
and
c'est ce
help
que
them
l'on
reach
essaie
the
de
highest
faire. On
level.
les prend très jeunes et on les
The
amène
aim
au
is to
meilleur
get them
niveau.
into the World
Le but,
Championship
c'est de
podium.
les amener sur un podium mondial.
year for me was a good year for my first year in MX2, except my end of the season with my big crash in Italy and my femur fracture. Except this, I did a good season with some good results, some top 5 and one podium in Sweden, and it was good. I took a lot of experience and it was good. This year is different to last year. I started the season with no training because we started to ride 2 weeks before the first GP, so it was really difficult for me. I started to feel good on my bike for the third GP, but I broke my finger in French Championship, so after this was difficult to ride with the finger broken. Now, since 2-3 weeks, I restart to ride really good, to feel a really good feeling with my bike, and now I just need to be good on the race and mentally good and physically good, and normally I can do a good race.
I had a bad crash in the French Championship in Romagna. It was 2 months ago, and after that I got something wrong with my shoulder. But after some exam, we didn't see anything, so I was still riding. I rode in Bulgaria, and I still did one good race with the 3rd place in the first heat. But I didn't feel good, and after that I did another exam, and they saw that my shoulder was completely dead, and I had to get operation as soon as possible. I want to be back in 3 months, so it will be maybe the end of the season of the GPs. The French GP is very special for me. Last year I got a very good memory because I did a good race, and the public in France is completely crazy. They are 100% supported the rider, and so for me, for sure, it's feeling very bad to be here and not riding.
En fait, après Villars-sous-Écot, j'ai eu
After Villars-sous-Écot, I received an offer from the Rockstar Racing Kawasaki team to stand in for the injured Valentin Tellier, and I accepted the chance to ride in the MX2 World Championship. Everything is fine up to now.
Ça se passe bien pour l'instant. J'ai fait le
I rode the Portuguese Grand Prix,
voilà, j'enchaîne
and I'll ride the French Grand Prix and the rest from here on in.
Moi, c'est une super opportunité pour moi.
It was a really big opportunity for me as I was a privateer in a French championship in which I finished second last year.
Que j'ai fini second d'ailleurs.
But for this year, I was about to ride in the Supercross series, and then I had this great opportunity to ride in the World Championship again after competing in it in 2009.
C'est une super opportunité que j'ai saisie.
I took the chance,
et j'espère que
and I hope I can ride to produce some great results throughout the rest of the season.
Il rêve de ce podium, de ce victoire, Dylan Ferrandis également, clairement. Grosse révélation, lui qui est au pied levé.
Atmosphere building here in France. We'll get ready to go racing for MX2, race 1. There is a wall of noise out here on the bank at Ernay as they prepare to watch MX2 race 1. Jordi Tixier, the Red Bull KTM factory rider, is one of the guys they'll be looking out for. He had a tough qualifying race yesterday, though, eventually coming home outside the top 10 places, but he had to ride pretty decent to get there, to finish 10th actually. Dean Ferris takes his first ever and his best ever qualifying for the season ahead of his teammate Monster Energy Yamaha rider Maxime Dupre. Dylan Ferrandis and Jason Clement also taking their best places of the season. Christophe Charlier was 5th place, Alex Tonkov was 6th on the Ester Motorsport Honda, Petrov on the Kimia Raytech Vanderlaar Yamaha came home 7th, ahead of Jake Nichols on the Wilbur Stan JM Racing KTM in 8th. Glenn Koldenhoff was 9th, and Jordi Tixier was 10th. Roman Febvre is back from injury this weekend. Jose Butron, who was a winner in the second moto in Brazil a few weeks ago, was only 13th. He'll be looking better here. We know he's a fast starter. The flares are going, the atmosphere building. The 15-second board is up. Dave Nichol gives the instruction to switch it to 5, and we're getting ready to go racing. MX2 race 1 about to go here at Ernay, round 8. Oh, the problem with the gate. A handful of riders going a little bit too early as they got wedged in, and it's going to be Dean Ferris who grabs the Get Athena whole shot award, the number 111 Monster Energy Yamaha rider. Clear-cut decision that. And look at that, all 3 Monster Energy Yamahas, 1st, 2nd and 3rd, with Dupre 2nd, Charlier 3rd, and Jose Butron in 4th place. And Boutron not quite getting the distance over the triple on that opening lap. The two Monster Energy Kawasaki's at the back there, Dakotas and Lupino. As we go on board with, I think it's Tixier. So Tixier in about 7th place at the moment. They see Boutron 17 in 4th. Oh, red flag. So there was a problem with the start gate. So it's going to be a restart here for the first time this year. Not sure where that information is coming from out on the rest of the track, but the guys are still there pushing. Oh, look at that. The Yamahas all getting to each other's way. Ferris will be pleased to be a red flag when he comes around. Those things should be waving by now, surely. These guys are still charging here. It's only the starter. Only the guy on the... Right, we've got yellow flags waving. Now they'll realise as they drop downhill for the first time. Thought there'd have been more red flag out there. So, the riders, MX2, will head back to the start line to prepare for a restart. As soon as the gate's working, it'll be pretty much straightforward. Not had any problems with it all weekend, and well, we just saw Andy Summers and Dave Nicol from the FIM just discussing the options down there on the grid, but the MX2 guys will make their way back into the waiting zone. Yeah, just a load of gates were slow to drop, and then riders, Max Anstey over there on the left was one of them, and the riders just getting themselves into all kinds of bother down there. That might explain why the CLS, and you can see some went, some didn't.
Voilà, semblerait effectivement un petit souci de grille. On va avoir la confirmation. Je retourne du côté de la ligne de départ quelques instants. Juste pour rappeler.
Prit Ratset, one of the last guys to leave there, 221. That's him there in the blue look, just behind the 495 of Matthias Plezis. Well, on Motors TV, we're going to take a quick short break as we try and get this start gate fixed. So when we return, we hope to have MX2 Race 1 get underway in real time at the second time of asking. So the MX2 guys then down on the start line, getting ready, redoing their gates. French start officials just look on, dumbfounded by the fact that the start gate has failed them for the first time since 1972, probably. Mel Pocock seems happy enough, though, there. The Ginger Ninja, 119. Hello, Mum. Hello, Dad. I know you're watching at home on MX Live TV, really. But Dean Ferris it was who grabbed the whole shot from his Monster Energy Yamaha teammates. Was it Dupre? I think it was Dupre. And then Pocock was in there as well. Charlier was in there, so great starts for them. Everything seems okay there. Dave Nicol seems happy enough. Just see it here on board with Tixier. See, some guys went early, and I just wonder if that was only the problem as well, because see Ferris there, look, 111, just storming out and looking over and thinking, where is everybody? And it was 119, Mel Pocock, not 141, Maxime Dupre. But Charlier came through in third as soon as he came over here, because Boutron ran wide there, look, going over the first jump. Back live, Erne, round 8 of the FIM MX2 Motocross World Championship. Dave Nicol just takes another walk back along the start line. They've just done one test, and the gate worked again. But you see the riders in position, just preparing their gate again. Live onboard images from Jordi Tixier, the Red Bull KTM factory rider. But Jeffrey Hurlings, who leads the championship at the moment, had a massive qualifying crash yesterday, coming down the big step down. Just wonder if our Director can just show us the big step down in the middle of the hillside of this circuit here, because that will indicate the actual distance that Jeffrey Hurlings fell in that qualifying race. He came out of the right-hander at the top of the hill, was riding a decent race, started in third, just worked his way nice and comfortably into second. Then 2 laps later just got completely cross-rutted as he took off. And it's about 20 meters from point to point as you jump over the ridge. And he was short and cross-rutted, and he jumped off the bike. He managed to, well, I don't know how he managed to get himself back up, actually, because he actually jumped off the bike mid-air, landed on the top of the step, bounced all the way to the bottom, and his bike went off track and came back, nailed him a few times before he came to a stop at the bottom of the hill, and he completely mashed the radiators, the handlebars, the forks, the front wheel, the front disc, you name it. That bike was completely destroyed. And when he picked himself up some 30 seconds later and rejoined the race, steam was pouring out of the thing, and he managed to nurse it home. He was the last guy to finish out on track, but he managed to place, what, 27th in the qualifying race, because the likes of Giacomo Del Segato, Vacislav Golovkin, Elliot Banks-Brown on the HM Plant KTM UK machine, Matthias Plesius on the Latvia Elksny Honda, and Ivo Monticelli on the TM Ritchie Racing TM failed to finish. There is 84. Jeffrey Hurling saw him yesterday after practice, saw the shirt hanging up, said, new shirt? He said, yep, rocking the yellow and the blue this weekend. And his teammate as well, so they should stand out. Wherever you look out on this track, Dean Ferris takes his position on the grid. 1:11, he was the heat winner yesterday in the qualifying race, ahead of his 1:41 teammate, Maxime Dupre. Then it was Dylan Ferrandis on the Rockstar Bud Racing Kawasaki, ahead of his teammate Jason Clement. Then Christophe Charlier was 5th. Here we see the lineup again. Tonkov was 6th, Petrov was 7th, Jake Nichols was 8th in what was just a steady ride for him. Came from 13th to 8th, had a bit of a dust-up with Jose Boutron at some point on the race as well. Boutron came off worse, and say he had a bit of a whisper inside the helmet of Jake Nichols when he came in, shall we? Coldenhoff was 9th, Tixier was 10th, Roman Febvre back from injury on the Will Werner Star and Gem Racing KTM came home in 11th. Then it was Kevin Fors, Jose Boutron, Alex Lupino went down on the first lap. Stefan Olsen was 15th, Mel Pocock was 16th, had a problem in the closing stage of the race and dropped down to 16th. Then it was Max Anstey, Harry Koulas, Steve Lenoir on the Evotech Stevens KTM, normally rides in the British Championship at home. And then the standing construct KTM of Pascal Rauschenecker was 20th. The onboard image of Jordi Tixier, Red Bull KTM Factory Racing. He starts pretty much centre of the grid. The first start was a false one, but the crowd don't mind too much. They're making a lot of noise out there because there's a whole bunch of French guys that can get on the podium this weekend, starting with Maxime Dupre, Dylan Ferrandis, Jason Clement and Christophe Charlier. Don't forget Jordi Tixier and Romain Febvre as well, of course. They come here to see a French rider at least on the podium. They know they can get a French victory, certainly from Tixier, because Jeffrey Hurlings had a big crash yesterday in qualifying. He's lucky to be walking, let alone even getting back on a bike. Monster Energy 15-second board is up. That's about to turn to 5. And when it does, the heads will go down, the revs will pick up, and we should get ready to go racing for the second time of asking here. Round 8 of the FIM MX2 Motocross World Championship gets off to a flying start here, and the Monster Energy Yamahas again, but they're banging bars, and it's Boutron who gets to get Athena whole shot award, and Hurlings around the outside of him, number 84, bursts into the lead immediately. Oh, Ferris getting caught out, coming through there. Elliot Banks-Brown getting a good start, number 44. So Banks-Brown in around about 7th place, and he comes over the first of the jumps, but on board with Tixier, he's got Ferris 111 alongside him, and Pocock just up the inside of him there in the yellow. You see Tixier going high and wide, finds his way past Ferris. But Jeffrey Hurlings, his teammate, leads the way. Number 84, Boutron there, 2nd. Dylan Ferrandis, I think, in 3rd place, the 122 in green. Just threw me there for a moment. Jake Nichols gets a good start. He's in 4th, number 45. Then it looked like Harry Koulas on the Garibaldi Honda just there. So Jake Nichols in blue, He's in 5th place, all over the back of Koldenhoff. Actually, Koldenhoff comes through pretty good. Then we've got Tixier. He's made light work of Harry Koulas, Mel Pocock and Dean Ferris on this opening lap, so he's going to be charged. Pocock up the inside of Koulas, runs him wide in the background, so Pocock going to try and follow Tixier through up to the sharp end. This is where Hurling's crash yesterday ended up right down here on the bottom of the hill. That's what we say, he's looking to be walking, let alone even riding. Walking around the paddock on crutches this morning before morning warm-up. But Tixier, he's a man on a charge at the moment as Boutron throws a wild leg coming out of the left-hander. He's in 2nd, he's got Ferrandis in 3rd. Koldenhoff 4th, Nichols in 5th as they drop downhill. Then we've got Tixier already ahead of the 2 Yamahas, as we said a moment ago. So Hurlings, Boutron, Ferrandis, they top 3. Koldenhoff is 4th, Nichols 5th, Tixier 6th, Ferris, Pocock, Tonkoff, Koulas. And Elliot Banks-Brown at the bottom of the hill. That's that awkward left-hander. Just 2 corners from the finish. Might see it here. No, this is the opening lap. Oh yeah, that's Banks-Brown going down for a first time. So he obviously picked himself up and rejoined the race and has gone down again since. Petrov going through, Lewis Toombs, number 15, Golovkin. Another replay of the start. This time the Yamahas weren't so clean coming out of there. Boutron was though. We know he's a fast starter, which is why we weren't worried about his lowly qualifying position yesterday, but on board with Tixier, as we see Jake Nichols pulling away and Goldenhoff there, number 259. But Rockstar Racing Kawasaki rider Dylan Ferrandis missed his home Grand Prix last year because of a wrist injury picked up in practice on Saturday, but going to make amends this weekend is a number 122 Kawasaki rider. Finished 2nd in the European Championship 2 years ago. Behind Roman Febvre, just lost out by a couple of points, but won pretty much every race that he entered that year. And he's going after Boutron. He's up the inside of the Spaniard. The Spaniard knows he's there. Listen to the crowd out here on the opposite bank. Great reaction from them. He's going to be supercharged. Here's Dylan Ferrandis. And he knows as well that the guy ahead of him, number 84, Jeffrey Hurlings, is riding a little bit wounded today. And he's going to want to do just enough to get as many points as possible, but he's out there leading the race at the moment. We know he's already beatable because Boutron proved that in Brazil 2 weeks ago. But 259, Glenn Koldenhoff, standing construct KTM, finds himself in 4th. Jake Nichols still 5th on the Wilbona Star and JM Racing. That's him all the way out to the right-hand side, just disappearing off the shot now. Tixier 6th, Ferrandis 7th, Ferris 7th, Pocock 8th, Tonkoff 9, Anstey on the Rockstar Suzuki is 10th. Then it's Koulas. Listen to the crowd here. The reaction for this kid, absolutely, well, nothing less than you'd expect at a French Grand Prix, to be honest. But Ferrandis is the fastest man on track, 1:52.6. compared to the 53.3 of Jeffrey Hurlings, and he was 1.9 down on Jeffrey Hurlings, the championship leader, at the end of that first official lap. Tixier, meanwhile, we're on board with him in 6th place, and he's looking at the rear end of Jake Nichols, Wilbona Star and JM Racing KTM, already down there in that bottom right-hand turn. Pascal Rauschenegger is in 12th, Chris Charlier 13th, Olsen is 14th, Lupino 15th, Kevin 4, Roman Febvre, Petr Petrov, Evan Havey and Prit Ratsep. They're your top 20 guys out on track at the moment as we look at Boutron trying to fend off the challenge of Glenn Koldenhoff. Maxime Dupre down in 21st place at the moment. Jason Clement 23rd, Lewis Toombs 24th, Steve Lenoir 26th, Ivo Monticelli 27th, Jimmy Dakotis, he's in 29th place at the moment, and Elliot Banks-Brown right at the back. We saw him have 2 crashes on the opening lap, but Boutron not making the downhill double, and Koldenhoff goes through into 3rd place, and Nichols up the inside as well. So these two, well, they might get a little bit fiery, because they had a little bit of a dust-up yesterday when they came off the track after the qualifying race. So Nichols out of the final turn, dropping downhill, gets ready to complete his 2nd lap, but he moves up a position now from 5th to 4th, as Boutron has an expensive lap going from 3rd to 5th that time around. Look at the fans out there on the hillside. A great auditorium in which these guys can perform this weekend. There's 111, Dean Ferris, the Australian. He's in 7th, chasing down 911, Jordi Tixier. who we're on board with right now, out of turn 2, dropping down onto the flat. Out of the right, over the Monster Energy triple jump. He's going after Jose Boutron, but it's Hurlings, Ferrandis, Koldenhoff, Nichols, Boutron, and Tixier. They top 6. Jose Boutron, number 17, Silver Action KTM rider, already a race winner this year in Brazil 3 weeks ago. Finds himself dropping down from 3rd to 5th place, and he's falling into the clutches of 9-11. French hero, Jordi Tixier. Dean Ferris, Monster Energy Yamaha, just behind him. There in 7th, the 111 rider, Mel Pocock, his teammate behind him in 8th. Alex Tonkoff on the Esta Motorsports Honda, operating out of the JTEC garage as well. That's him in red in the background. He's in 9th. Max Anstey, the Rockstar Energy Suzuki Europe MX2 rider, is in 10th place. But Hurlings continues to lead. He's 2 seconds clear of Dylan Ferrandis, another hometown hero. This is where Hurlings crashed yesterday. That onboard GoPro certainly flattens out the image and how steep and long that hill is, but this gives you a slightly better angle, how far those guys are traveling down there. Couchute at the track is coming out of this right-hander, dropping down a slight plateau, but very difficult to get back on the gas. You see Tixier jumping his way up into that corner. Ferris all over the back of the Frenchman now. There was a load of crashes down here yesterday where the guys were landing in the braking bumps and going through the fence. Seems to be getting the treatment though, that part of the track. Ferris hard on the brakes but loses the front end going into that final corner, but he has a shorter route to turn 1 and whittles down that gap back to Jordi Tixier. We've got yellow flags down there in the final corner, just like we said from yesterday. Can't quite see who that is, just waiting to see when we maybe pick up over there, but Hurlings, Ferrandis, Koldenhoff, Nichols, Boutron, they're all through. Tixier, Ferris, Pocock, Tonkoff, Anstey, no change there. Kulas, Rauschnecker, Charlier, Lapino, Fours. Oh, panic rev there as he just got a little bit back end high there. Jordi Tixier as he goes after Jose Boutron. Boutron goes tight and defensive. Tixier tries to go wide. Will we see a flash of Yamaha? No. He's expecting Ferris to wheel his way up the inside of the KTM rider. Tight right-hander at the top of the hill. Dropping down, very tricky. Then the tabletop, then the waves. You see the ruts in there as well. It's hard, slick, rocky, loose, uphill, off cambered. Easy on the gas through there. Not as easy as it looks, that corner. Couple of stabs of the cherry through that, what seems to be a double apex right, but they go in, come off the bank, and then turn again. Tell you what, Anstey not far off this group. Just saw him there flashing in the background, just behind Mel Pocock and Alex Tonkoff. So he'll be looking, and look at this. Hurlings has been caught by Dylan Ferrandis. It was 1.9 seconds at the start of that lap. Hurlings riding wounded after his big crash yesterday in qualifying. Fastest lap of the race. No, not for these two guys. Koldenhoff sets his personal best though, 1:52.993. Nichols still there in 4th. And I reckon over the next couple of laps we're going to see Hurlings, Ferrandis, Koldenhoff, Nichols all challenging for the lead. But the crowd here electrified at the moment because Dylan Ferrandis on the Bud Rockstar Racing Kawasaki here, number 122 in 2nd, is going to get the treatment from the home fans as he goes after Jeffrey Hurlings in this first MX2 race here, round 8 of the FIM MX2 Motocross World Championship. It's the French Grand Prix at Ernay, just west of Le Mans. Hurlings is who leads. That's him there, number 84. Ferrandis looking forward to this French Grand Prix, having missed out last year at Saint-Jean-d'Angely, but got himself a decent start. He's out there challenging that gap just over a second as they came over the line, but not that now as they halfway round this 5th lap. Koldenhoff closing in as well, leaving Jake Nichols behind, and Jake Nichols just needs a little bit of good fortune after having a couple of disappointing weekends recently. No fault of his own, of course, but Jake Nichols really needs to start picking up some points now. Crowd going crazy for Dylan Ferrandis. Come on, Mino. Playing into the hands of Glenn Coldenhoff. So 2 Dutch riders, first and third. And Hurlings, he's going to start to come under pressure and feel the heat from 122. Dylan Ferrandis, and if he finds a way through, this place will just go through the roof. Fastest man on track, Glenn Coldenhoff, 152.4. That's the fastest lap of the race as well. But Dylan Ferrandis finds himself in a championship down in 12th. This will certainly boost his credibility. Christophe Charlier, Monster Energy Yamaha, number 23. He's in 10th place at the moment, having just been passed by Max Anstey on the Rockstar Energy Suzuki Europe MX2 machine. And Anstey going after Alexander Tonkov and Dean Ferris as those guys start to bunch up as well. And Charlier just taking a long look over his shoulder. I wondered whether he made a slight mistake there and threw it away. You need to work in Sector 3. That's the message for Jeffrey Hurlings. Because his third sector, that's the final sector coming back towards the finish line area. There he is, leading the way at the moment. This race is going to seem like an eternity for him. He's got 22.5 minutes plus 2 to go. Done good work there, though. He's broken free from Dylan Ferrandis just a little bit. $15, Golovkin. There's Hurlings, trying to have a second go at trying to break free from Dylan Ferrandis, 122. When we were here in 2009, it was an all-French podium. Marvin Musquin winning both races. Anthony Boissiere was second that day. Loic Cléance was third, and Gauthier Paulin in MX2 was fourth. So Dylan Ferrandis certainly wants to get on the podium here. French fans would love that, of course. Coldenhoff losing ground and falling into the clutches of Jake Nichols here. Battle for third place. Then Tixier, he's found himself in 5th now, number 911. As he's gone past Jose Boutron. And Dean Ferris now in 7th. He's lost about 4 seconds to this guy, Jordi Tixier. Just listen to the RPM on that factory KTM. Second gear, third gear maybe even for Tixier coming out of that turn. I know from riding that bike that you could do that straight in third, then drop back downhill into that tight right before climbing up here. So Jordi Tixier going after Jake Nichols. Now, we've had 6 laps complete. There is Tixier just in the background. Jake Nichols riding in a new blue outfit this weekend as the battle for the lead once again tightens up. There's Dylan Ferrandis here, 122, Bud Rockstar Racing Kawasaki, all over the rear wheel of number 84, Jeffrey Hurlings. That bike was completely destroyed yesterday after his crash down here. Out of this right-hander, he got completely cross-rutted, jumped off about now, bounced off that ledge and ended up down here in the corner. And that's a third gear step down as well out of that turn. See the riders in the background launching their way off of it, look. Boutron, and that bottom left-hander right over there in the background, and Ferris trying to close up on him, but the battle for the lead, they're about to come over the line to complete their 7th lap. The circuit in great condition in terms of the texture. There's a lot of grip out there, but it's still hard and slick in 1 or 2 places. The drying conditions bringing the loose rocks to the top of the surface. Don't see him often do that. Jeffrey Hurlings taking a long, nervous look over his shoulder. Still sees he's not able to shake off the challenge from Dylan Ferrandis just behind him in green in 2nd position. These are the days that riders get out of bed for. Pocock out. He was, limping on that Lee yesterday. He came in after the qualifying race and looks like he's tagged it again. So disappointment for Mel Pocock as he's out of the moto, possibly out of the Grand Prix. But Hurlings, Dylan Ferrandis, they top 2. Coldenhoff now 3 seconds behind these guys in 3rd on the standing construct KDM. Jake Nichols all over the back of him in 4th where he was. He's lost a couple of seconds as well on the Wilvo Nastan Jam Racing KTM. 68, about 2 or 3 seconds down on Nichols as well in 5th. Then Boutron, then Ferris, Tonkov, Anstey, Charlier. That's your top 10. And once again, Hurling's just managing to escape the clutches of Dylan Ferrandis on lap 8. No pain, no gain, is that? That'll be the message for Hurlings this time around. Here's Anstey and Tonkov. So Tonkov, who had a good Brazilian Grand Prix recently, and Pratsep and 461. Romain Fevre fighting over 15th. Ratsep's actually just gone through, so Romain Fevre, who's been missing for the last couple of months or so. Just enjoying the atmosphere here, I think, the French Grand Prix. It was always going to be a big ask to be healthy anyway, 100%. You can see him already now starting to hit the cruise button as Maxime Dupre goes down the inside on the Monster Energy Yamaha 141. So Dupre going from 17th that lap. Just behind him, Jason Clement, 817. So the standing rider for Valentin Tellier. Nice line there, though, for Dupre. Got out of that rut nice and early. No bumps, no holes, just got good drive, so he's on the charge through the field at the moment. Just as a matter of interest, on the MX Live TV show at 2:15 local time, 1:15 British time, we've got Elliot Banks-Brown, the HM Plant KTM rider, Jeremy Van Hoorbeek, MX1 rider, and Lawrence Klein-Korkamp, the racing manager from the Netherlands, for Yamaha Racing, covering all aspects of motocross and MotoGP. But Fevre now just on his decline. Fevre now starting to drop backwards as 76 Rauschenecker goes through. We've got 16 minutes and 15 seconds left, plus 2 laps in this MX2 race 1. Just looking down the lower order of the leaderboard. Elliot Banks-Brown now up in at 22nd, having found a way past Jimmy Decotis, Lewis Toombs, and Giacomo Del Segato. Mel Pocock and Alex Lupino are out. Jeffrey Hurlings, though, he continues to lead the way on the Rebel KTM, and he's 1.8 seconds clear of Dylan Ferrandis, who's just set the fastest lap of the race. We're getting ready to go down to pit lane to talk to KTM. Here we go. Here's Amy.
Joining me down in the pit lane, Dirk Grubel. Can you give us an update on Jeffrey? We obviously saw him yesterday take that huge tumble. How is he feeling this morning?
Well, he was quite sore. He had a huge crash like we all saw yesterday, and yeah, the worst is the ankle at the moment. It's pretty bad, pretty swollen up. The wrist bothers him a little bit, and also he had quite a head shake last night. So, but overall, he's doing well at the moment. He had a pretty good start, and I think he will battle through it.
Thanks, Dirk.
Riding battered and bruised, Jeffrey Hurlings, championship leader, current race leader as well, number 84. That's him at the end of the straight there in yellow and blue on the orange Red Bull KTM. Dylan Ferrandis backwards and forwards as Lupino pulls out of the race on the CLS Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki. Had a crash yesterday. He's had a rib injury this year so far, and not sure if we'll be able to grab a quick word with Alessandro Lupino before he disappears completely out of the end of pit lane. But Hurlings not able to get over the double this time around, and that allows Ferrandis to close right back up, who takes a tighter line to the inside. Heat is on now. So Hurlings now really starting to feel the pressure. Just over 14 minutes plus 2 to go. MX2 race 1. It's 8th round of the FIM MX2 Motocross World Championship, and Jeffrey Hurlings now really coming under attack from the number 122, Dylan Ferrandis, on the Bud Rockstar Racing Kawasaki. This is the battle for the lead. Hurlings, of course, unbeaten up until Moto number 2 in Brazil 3 weeks ago. Nicolas Durcourt, 4-1-2, urging on Dylan Ferrandis as he gets lapped. Durcourt riding as an MX2 wildcard here this weekend in the French Grand Prix. Savouring the atmosphere. And a mistake there from Herlings coming out of that left-hander into the wave section. Up onto this little dogleg, dropping down over the step down. We just heard a moment ago from Dirk Grubel, the technical chief at KTM Red Bull Racing, saying it's the ankle, the shoulder, the wrist, and the head that's bothering Jeffrey Herlings after his big crash yesterday in qualifying, but doing a great job keeping it up there. And of course, no one expected him to even finish the race yesterday when he crashed down the biggest step down in history, but here he is, walking wounded, quite literally, hobbling around on crutches in between riding sessions, and he's fending off the charge of the French hero, number 122, Dylan Ferrandis. As I said a little bit earlier, this race will probably seem like the longest race of Jeffrey Herlings' career. Withstanding the pressure from Dylan Ferrandis, especially riding with the injuries, the head, the mind, not fully focused on the job at hand, just trying to get through. Every time he puts that ankle down, just like there, pain going to be shooting right up through his body as a constant reminder of what he has to deal with in this first race. But he's also got another 40-minute moto a little later on this afternoon, 3 o'clock local time. But Ferrandis got a great start. He shot out of the start line. As Plessis is there, 4.95, just getting lapped, but the gap between them, 1.3 seconds. He'll enjoy this, will Ferrandis. Coldenhoff third now, 4 seconds further back. Nichols about another 3-4 seconds back in 4th place. Tixier has lost momentum. He's in 5th place on the second of the Red Bull KTMs. Then we've got Boutron on the Silver Action KTM. Dean Ferris on the Monster Energy Yamaha 7th. Max Anstey, Rockstar Bud Racing. Rockstar Energy Suzuki. 9th is Alex Tonkov on the Ester Motorsports Honda, and 10th is the Monster Energy Yamaha of Chris Charlier. Then it's Harry Kulas on the Garibaldi Honda in 11th. Petar Petrov on the Kimi Ratek Van der Laar Yamaha in 12th. Kevin Ford, his teammate, in 13th. Evan Habe on the Scott Racing KTM is 14th. Prit Ratsep on the Estonian Express KTM. Ahead of Maxime Dupre, Jason Clement, Pascal Rauschenecker, Robert Justin. Alex Banks-Brown has broken into the top 20 after having 2 crashes on the opening lap while sitting there in 3rd, 4th place. Here's Glenn Coldenhoff, currently in 3rd place on the standing construct. KTM, Coldenhoff opened his season with a 4th overall at the opening round in Qatar. Thailand, it was 7th. Not finished overall on the podium, but he has picked up podium place finishes. The guy who sits 4th place in a championship. He was 2nd in the first moto in Brazil, and he picked up a 2nd in the opening moto in Qatar. Did Coldenhoff, but Jake Nichols, number 45, Will Van der Staan, JM Racing KTM, now coming under attack from Jordi Tixier there, number 9-11. They'll be fighting over 4th place for the next 10 minutes plus 2 laps. As this MX2 race really starts to boil now and reaching a crescendo. Tixier looks like he's regrouped actually, because he was about 3 seconds down on Nichols. It's now down to about 1.5 seconds. You can see it. In fact, even closer now as they come over that Monster Energy triple. Really got the bit between his teeth. He's in the ascendancy as Jordi Tixier, as Nichols falling off the back of Glenn Coldenhoff in 3rd place. Just starting to tighten up maybe. Here's the young Brit. There's Boutron. He's having a lonely ride in 6th place at the moment. Got another flying hole shot. He'll pick up the Get Athena hole shot award, I think, as he comes over the line at the end of the moto. Oh, Tixier all over the back of Nichols. Surely a matter of time now before the Frenchman goes through. The guys just ahead at the end of the straight. I think one of them a back marker, and then Coldenhoff, yeah. So Giacomo Del Segato, the 262, that's the first back marker they're going to reach on the Marchetti Racing KTM. Is Koldenoff already through in third position? He's 5 seconds down on Dylan Ferrandis and Jeffrey Hurlings, who's pulled clear now to about 2.5 seconds over the Frenchman. Nichols, fourth place, is under fire here. Number 45. Tixier storms up the inside of Giacomo Del Segato, who's being lapped. Not an easy place to come to here at Ernay. Oh, stabs his front end into that corner a little bit too deep, gets himself into all kinds of bother, does Nichols. But he keeps it there in fourth place as he comes over the line to complete his 13th lap. We've got 8 minutes 22 on the clock. Then we've got 2 laps to go after that when time is up, and he runs a little bit wide, and Tixier, speedway style, through the final corner, losing a little bit of ground. So Tixier now is really going to fire himself up. Crowd now starting to get interested in what Tixier is doing. Ferris is out. Dean Ferris is out as well. So 2 Monster Energy Yamaha riders, after what was a good qualifying yesterday, go out of the race here. Moto number 1 at Ernay. Tixier all over the back, giving Nichols absolutely no room to even breathe out there on track at the moment. Alongside him, put the squeeze at the top of the hill. Nice move there from Tixier as he sails up into fourth place. Where's Koldenoff? Koldenoff already out of that next left-hander. That's the amount of time that Tixier now has to make up on Glenn Koldenoff if he's to get on to the third step of the podium. Couldn't move at breakfast this morning in the hotel for Jordi Tixier fans. Here's Charlie A. Monster Energy Yamaha, number 23, going after 59. Alex Tonkov as they battle over 8th place. Oh, and he's going to run it on the inside into the tight right-hander here. Get out of there early. No, Tonkov read him well. Maybe at the end of this straight. Brave move to go down the inside here, though, because you've got that mogul on the inside. That slows down your momentum straight away. Got to think about what he can do. Oh, lands in neutral and has nowhere to go, does Charlier. You just saw the body language there of Alex Tonkov as he got to the top of the hill, landed in neutral, and all the hard work from Christophe Charlier sees him just going tumbling down to the deck. Did well to get up from there though as well in terms of like the uphill, the steep angle, the incline coming out of that or going into the right-hander. Watch this. Thrown forward, Tonkov in neutral, and the speed and momentum which Charlier was carrying just slammed him right into the rear wheel of Tonkov. Tonkov very lucky to stay up. Charlier, unfortunate for him, goes out of 9th place and loses a place to Harry Koulas in the process. So Christophe Charlier back in 10th, Petrov 11th, Kevin Falls is 12th, waiting for Evan Haber to come over the line in 13th. But Jeffrey Hurlings managing the situation well at the head of the field now. The pain in the ankle probably just turning numb. Just now, maybe just going through the motions. Jeffrey Hurlings is 4.3 clear of Dylan Ferrandis, who's realised that despite throwing everything at him, maybe not going to find a way through. He knew he was riding injured, but he's there in second at the moment. Is the Frenchman. .259, Glenn Koldenoff on the standing construct KTM. He's in third and slowly closing in on Dylan Ferrandis. Ferrandis, of course, who had a good opportunity to try and deal with Jeffrey Hurlings, is already at the bottom of the finish line straight in the left-hander entering the pit lane area now. But just wasn't able to get the job done. Obviously, he started with an injury at the start of the season and then picked up a broken finger in a French championship. But he had that big crash in Fermo in Faenza last year, which saw him with a femur. We've heard him talking about it at the top of the programme. Jake Nichols still there, though. He's in 5th place, but Boutron closing in on the Silver Action KTM here. Lewis Toombs was the guy just behind him, 166. He's just been lapped. And he's just outside the points as well. Is Lewis Toombs. in 22nd place behind Steve Lenoir, another guy they would ride regularly with in the British Championship. But so far, guys out of the race: Dean Ferris, Romain Fevre, Stefan Olsen, Ivo Monticelli, Mel Pocock and Alex Lupino. Elliot Banks-Brown in 18th place. Now on the HM Plant KTM UK machine, where is Anstey? Anstey up in the 7th position. He was on the charge earlier. Jimmy Decotis in a points in 20th place. That'll be his first World Championship point if he stays there. Will the American. Been working hard, he said, since he got back from Brazil. Biggest problem that Decotis had on the CLS Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki was coming from a winter season of training for Supercross only. He got the opportunity to ride in place of Arnold Tonis. So coming in straight into the melting pot and the cauldron that is the FIM MX2 Motocross World Championship, only used to riding 10, 15-minute motos. Of course, going out trying to deal with 2 45-minute races on Sunday, but a qualifying race of 25 minutes and 2 40-minute practice sessions on Saturday. You can imagine the extra effort that Jimmy Decotis has had to face so far this year, but the team have stuck with him, and he's on the verge of picking up a point. Of course, Lupino out early in the race, so the lone CLS Kawasaki rider out on track at the moment. Jordi Tixier has done a good job of getting himself into 4th position and breaking free from Jake Nichols here, the number 911. He crashed yesterday off that jump on the first lap in the qualifying race. Ended up the bank somewhere without his bike. Here's his teammate, Jeffrey Hurlings, getting over that little step down. Not many riders getting over that yesterday, jumping short and rolling the last one. But with 2:08 on the clock, just wondering, it's going to be 3 laps when he comes around next time, isn't it, Jeffrey Hurlings? Was in a good mood when he arrived here. That pretty much changed after the qualifying race. I'm sure Stefan Everts and the boys would have just sat there and said, look, pick up as many points as you can. You don't have to go out and win the race. But, of course, Hurlings wants to do it the other way. Jeffrey Hurlings, top end of the circuit. Highest point right now over the Monster Energy tabletop. Turns right, comes past the scene of where he crashed yesterday, this big step down here. There'll be no flashbacks going through his mind every time he goes through there. Just pick himself up and deal with it like riders know how to, and he's 4.3 seconds clear of this guy here in green, Dylan Ferrandis at the moment, the Bud Rockstar Racing Kawasaki youngster, who's had a great French Grand Prix so far. Really soaking up the atmosphere, enjoying it, but the back end just stepping out as he comes out of that difficult left-hander. Drops downhill to complete 17 laps, and there's going to be 3 to go because 50-odd seconds on the clock means that it will be the 2-lap board next time around, but he can't afford to relax because the standing construct KTM of 259, Glenn Koldenoff, is breathing all down the back of the Kawasaki youngster's neck now as they come through the first corner. Hurlings has ridden an immaculate race. Here's Jake Nichols. He's still got Boutron closing in as well. So this is going to be a battle of survival for Jake Nichols. Remember, these two weren't on the best speaking terms yesterday after the qualifying race yesterday. Nichols will be mindful of the fact that Boutron is closing and not able to get over the triple jump there. Jake Nichols that time around. Boutron just got the 45. Right in his sights. Nichols going defensive through that left-hander into the waves. Just wondering whether there's a little bit of arm pump crept in early on in the race for Jake Nichols here. Potentially. Doing well to hold on there if that's the case, but Boutron gets better drive going up the hill. He's going to close the door at the top, and he goes through nice and easily on and hits the back brake there. Nichols read it well, though. He was just far enough back. Boutron was probably surprised that he didn't run into the back of him there. Maybe rather hoping, but here's our race leader, Jeffrey Hurlings. Ferrandis and Koldenoff still fighting over second place. There's Koldenoff there, 259 in third. He's ridden well to get right onto the rear wheel of Ferrandis because he was, what, about 6th or 7th position as he came through the first turn. So he's dealt with everybody pretty well, has Glenn Koldenoff, on a circuit that you wouldn't say would be his favourite terrain. Oh! Oh! Big, big moment for Koldenoff. Almost through the front door at the top of the hill. Oh, major, major moment for Glenn Koldenoff at the right-hander. Just there, the first jump before the finish line. The body language, just, he seat bounced his way down there. And how he stayed on hasn't stopped him from charging after 122. Dylan Ferrandis, though, we've got 2 to go. Hurlings 4 seconds clear of these two. Hurlings still the only rider in an MX2 grid this year to have won a Grand Prix. Not sure any of these have even come close to winning a race either, apart from Boutron. Ferrandis, though, he's not going to let second place pass him by, is he? Not with a lap and a half to go. Koldenoff will be happy just to be on the podium for the 3rd time in 2013 in terms of a moto finish, but if he can go after second and pick up another couple of points, I'm sure he'll be more than pleased with that. Dylan Ferrandis, meanwhile, 12th in the championship. Picked up a couple of 8s at Trentino in Italy. Picked up a 9th in Bulgaria. Got a 5th, actually, in the first moto in Portugal, before he went to the flyway race in Brazil. So he'll be looking at... There's a 1-lap board going out. Look, Monster Energy finish line jump. This is where Koldenoff almost had that moment. Very, very lucky. Just as he entered the 2 laps to go board on the previous lap. But Koldenoff probably just backs it off a little bit now, realised that Ferrandis not going to be caught and not prepared to give up that second place without a fight. But of course, there's still one more moto to go a little bit later on, 3 o'clock local time. Crowd have appreciated the efforts of this kid here, Dylan Ferrandis. Not sure he's going to celebrate too much so on the final lap, because he knows there's still a little bit of danger lurking behind him. Here's Jeffrey Hurlings, 3.2 seconds clear. Hasn't exactly been a walk in the park for the youngster from the Netherlands this weekend, despite being 3.2 clear. Well, they do say the hardest thing to do is win the title, then even after that it's to defend it. Got off to the best possible start, was seemingly invincible, but he's had problems getting out of the start for a few races this year. He had a few crashes along the way in qualifying as well, including yesterday, that big crash on the downhill. But coming up to lap, Jimmy Dakotas, who's still there in 20th place, just behind Robert Just and Elliot Banks-Brown in 18th position. 6-1-3 there, Dakotas, the CLS Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki rider. Ferrandis almost gave a nod to the camera there, and the fans at the top of the hill urging him on, but just a handful of corners to go. Jeffrey Hurlings just takes a quick look over his shoulder to see exactly where Ferrandis is. Won't take any chances now. Drops downhill into this left-hander for the final time. Back up the other side into this right-hander. He's going to cruise downhill. And Jeffrey Hurlings wins moto number 1 here in Ernée, the French Grand Prix. Ferrandis, a great ride for him, his best ever victory, best ever career position for the Frenchman. He comes home in 2nd, and look what it means to him and his Kawasaki team. Great ride and a great shot there from Dylan Ferrandis, and thoroughly deserved. God, he's pumped, isn't he? Takes 2nd in the first moto, Koldenoff 3rd, Tixier 4th, Boutron comes over the line in 5th. Jake Nichols, he'll be disappointed with 6th. Here's Hurlings. The right ankle giving him some serious pain. Be interesting to hear. Very good, Jeffrey, says Valentina. He did better than very good. He picked up 25 points to win the first moto. So Hurlings wins, Ferrandis second, Koldenhoff, Tixier, Boutron, Nichols, top 6, Anstey just over the line in 7th. Good crowd out on the hillside here, witnessing Dylan Ferrandis picking up his best finish of his MX2 career as the rest of the riders come through, but it's unofficial, of course, but Hurlings, Ferrandis, Koldenhoff, Tixier, Boutron, Nichols, they top 6, Anstey, Tonkoff, Charlie 8, Petrov take us down to 10th, and it was Harry Koulas, Kevin Fours, Maxime Dupre got to 13th, Evan Habe 14th, Pascal Rauschenecker 15th, Jason Clement 16th, Britt Ratsep 17th, then Elliot Banks-Brown 18th, Rob Just 19th, and James Dakotis 20th. Here's
Congratulations, Boutron. Jose Boutron. You are this week's Get a Tenner Whole Shot Award winner.
So a few of them now, and he get Athena Whole Shot Awards, €250 in the skyrocket for the Spaniard. He just came right across the Yamahas and Dylan Ferrandis and hung it out there. There's the white line. Only just so, because Jeffrey Hurlings was snapping at his heels, and Hurlings eventually went through just here. Kept it nice and low, as you can see, over the first tabletop and sailed into the lead. And from there, he was never headed.
Ça c'est pour le MX1, pas de souci puisque nous sommes avec ces pilotes, avec ces garçons du côté de la ligne de départ. Belle, très belle mise en bouche pour cette manche.
That's a great sight, isn't it? Thousands of fans packed out here on the hillside.
Jeffrey, a massive effort from you there in that first race. Tell me about the crash yesterday, because I haven't spoken to you yet.
I'm glad I'm still here, you know, after such a crash. You know, I'm thankful I'm still alive, to be honest. You know, it was a huge crash, but made my way to here. You know, this morning didn't even know if I was going to race or not. You know, working on crutches, but got some good painkillers, a good doctor behind me, and made it here. You know, just did enough to win. You know, I had so much pain when I put my leg out, so I just did enough to win, and finally got a whole shot when I needed it. So hope to do the second motor the same, and never could do it without replicate the M Racing team. Thank you guys.
Well done. We'll see you for the second race.
Yeah, Jeffrey Hurlings riding through the pain barrier as he sails to, well, sail, probably not quite the right word, but he manages to fend off the challenge of Dylan Ferrandis to pick up another 25 points and another race win here. Moto number 1 at Ernay in France. But it was a tough ride for him after that big qualifying crash, of course. And there we see Hurlings, Ferrandis, Koldenhoff, Tixier, Boutron, Nichols, Anstey, Tonkoff, Charlier, Petrov, Koulas, Kevin Ford, Dupre, Habe, Rauschenecker, and Clement came home in 16th. It's Ratsep, Banks Brown in the points, Just and Dakotis.
Très lourd sur ses épaules, mais il en est capable de nous faire aussi de très belles choses. Fabien Ivoire, lui, 171 dans cette session, avec Loïc Léonce, bien sûr,